United States to be working in the service industry. And we've been pushing really hard to go that direction. But at the same time, you have a lot of people who want those manufacturing jobs back that we've been losing.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of, right now, even with the cabinet, they've been pushing hard for tariffs and all sorts of things to try to force manufacturing jobs back. I don't know if necessarily it's a short vision, the idea of if we can quickly force manufacturing jobs back here, it's going to fix the problem. But as we've seen in some of these other countries, it's not necessarily the case.
And when we lose our manufacturing jobs and the manufacturing knowledge, we will also lose the ability to innovate. Yeah, going to Blendtec and see them taking on a project of producing their own motor in-house. They didn't have that knowledge. Now they are working really hard on gaining that knowledge. For them, it would have been easy to go on and say, these are the specifications we want for this motor, make it to us. We could make that in China in a factory already set up for a fraction of the cost. They decided to bring it home. They don't have the knowledge, but maybe in 5 years they will have that knowledge. Maybe they will be, successful then.
Yeah.
Even though they are, it's dragging right now for them.
Short term, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right? For short-term business plan, it's expensive, but looking long-term, maybe it'll work out in their favor.
Interestingly, few people in the U.S. talked to us about the effect government had had on their business.
Panama.
Okay.
What a weird place.
Yeah, so Panama, the country that exists solely because they have a canal.
In Panama, everything we saw revolved around the canal.
Our sample size is extremely small.
Yeah,
Panama.
we have
Two
one company
places.
and the canal, right?
Yeah,
So, it's like LeBron James and the rest of the team. He scores and the rest of the team gives him the ball.
Yes.
Whether it was people who work at the canal or the government providing scholarships to send people to school. And they come back to work on the canal or do maintenance or future design. When we went to Moises' company, where a large amount of his income is because of the canal, providing parts or service to it. One of the engineers at the canal had mentioned that they sometimes have conflict with government on how to operate the canal.
Yeah.
That the government felt strongly that they should operate the canal to failure, where it would be more economical in their mind, a short-term gain to not have to stop anything for maintenance, that they could just go all the time until it failed. And the engineers having this conflict saying that's not a good idea. And I wonder if there's any sort of connection with the way everything else works in the country, like the roads, the everything seems to be. It seems like there's been zero maintenance on anything anywhere. The whole place feels like just falling apart. And talking to one of the locals, is if they get holes in the roof, they just rotate the tin around, cover it up with another piece, and they just keep going.
Yeah.
Everything's a patch job.
In Brazil, the effects of public policy were profound.
Companies that come and open up business in Brazil, if they don't produce a bulk of the stuff locally, they get high taxes. Yeah.
It's almost like a stranglehold on it rather than a incubator hold on it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Instead of keeping it warm and trying to help things grow, it's rather we're just gonna crush it.
Yeah, Valdemar at AKR said something interesting when he said that they're making a strategic partnership to ensure growth even if the local government isn't investing. So even if the Brazilian government is not helping them, they're making sure they have the partners so they can continue to grow.
The guys at Mobi mentioned that the Brazilian government had placed a 100% tax on imports, which is just unreal. Marcos at Majucasas, he had mentioned that he started paying taxes at the start of the calendar year, and all of it went to taxes before he started making anything in May.
Tax policy has encouraged some businesses, such as Dimare Moveis Planejados, Takata, and Nestle, to open branches in or relocate to Paraguay. Santiago's startup culture is another result of public policy and cultural interplay.
Chile has made an obvious effort to want to be a service provider.
Yes.
To bring companies in, to start them up there. They told us that manufacturing left Chile 30 years ago. It's not a priority. The loss of those blue-collar type jobs has some sort of correlation to what we saw at the airport, with the taxi drivers and the Uber drivers and everybody clawing for someone to climb into their car, because you don't see that everywhere.
They're so desperate for a job. Those taxi drivers, they were aggressive.
Yeah, I thought Dr. Salmon was going to get in a fight with that one guy. They got a little heated there. Chile's pushing to have jobs there that you need some sort of qualification for.
Yeah.
You can't just walk in the door and do some of those jobs. By incentivizing companies to come in and do these startups, and as a trade-off, they're willing to give up those manufacturing or blue-collar type jobs. JP with Invest Chile had mentioned that the government will not only give you $40,000 to start your company there, but they'll also pay all of your technical staff 2 years' wages
Yes.
when you start your company there. The government doesn't pay the non-qualified positions.
That is correct.
And you, I mean, whether or not you need them or not in your company, you're either paying them and you're probably not paying them much, or you're not employing them at all. Santiago, in some ways, has become a hub for these startups and for people with technical skills. And in some ways, maybe these outlying cities and other places just aren't keeping pace.
Nowhere were the consequences of public policy on industry so apparent as in Argentina. Over the years, Argentina has developed a tradition of instability. Different governments install radically different policies with different agendas. As a result, the economy has suffered a number of harsh recessions, and many industries, such as Daiichi, have suffered or closed down.
It was similar to Brazil in that they're using policies to try to maintain
Local industry.
local industry.
National companies. But again, by doing so, they were strangled them.
So much.
So much that they were suffocating business.
You know, some of that stranglehold mentality, I feel like it's something that we saw the evidence of in taxis.
Yes.
And that versus Uber.
Yeah.
And the stranglehold, if we want to keep business local, you have businesses like Daiichi who are just letting go. They have 25 employees. They just say, see you later. They're gone. Those people need work. And what else are they going to do? And so they start driving Uber. They start finding other ways to make money. And the government makes these things illegal, trying to protect the local businesses that they're killing at the same time.
Yeah. Globant, there was a little bit different there. But I think it's because they're a global player. And, their focus was service. Going back to Chile, comparing it to, Magma that we visited, it also service. So it seems like those that are succeeding and that are, moving ahead in a faster pace are service companies.
From the Pisano paper we read, the two go hand in hand.
Yeah.
And having similar services and manufacturing grouped together geographically, there's benefit to it. And there's also a benefit of having your manufacturing close to where you're doing your service. All of the countries we visited seem to have some sort of problem with it, where no one seems to have figured out the right system to where your service providing and your innovation and your manufacturing are working hand in hand very well. And I don't know if there's a right answer to it.
No, and it'd be interesting to see, 5 years from now, if you go to Lentec, to see how the production line have worked out, and if they're now making the next generation motor, or if they gave it up. And you go to ATL, and if their factory in China is still working out for them, or if they have brought something home as well.
Tim, do you have any thoughts on this?
In the future, I will pay close attention to public policy, past and present, before choosing locations to do work. When I work with foreign groups, I will work hard to understand the politics and government of the countries I'm working with.